Welcome, wayward travelers, to the Scarlet Tavern, where stories are told in candlelight and truth is chased like spirits in a bottle. Tonight, we're opening a case file that every game master has faced at least once. A case older than dice, older than minis, older than that one player who always insists they weren't trying to do that. We're talking about the Murderhobo problem. What happens when players go completely unapologetically off the rails? Now, if you've run a game for longer than 3 sessions, you've been here. You build a town with lore, NPCs with personalities, ships that aren't meant to be stolen.
Oh, God, here we go again.
And your players walk in, immediately try to rob the blacksmith, punch the mayor, and steal the ship. Because why not?
Oh, my God. We're going to keep hearing about this damn shit for the rest of my fucking
It's
life.
chaos. It's frustrating. It's hilarious. And it can absolutely torpedo a campaign if you don't get ahead of it. So tonight, we're going to break down exactly why murder hobo behavior happens, what it does to a story, how DMs accidentally create it, and how to fix it without turning into the fun police.
Okay,
because nobody wants a table where you feel like you're babysitting grown adventurers. You can't go 5 minutes without stabbing a quest giver. This is Scarlet Tavern.
Okay, I do want to point out the one thing about that stealing the ship. You only had to rewrite a little bit of the campaign.
No, I didn't. I had to rewrite the entire fucking thing.
Yeah, you had to build a whole new fucking world after I rolled the natural 20 that I wasn't supposed to fucking roll.
Yeah, both of them are your fault.
No, the ship was not my fault. The ship, I wasn't
Don't
there.
you dare blame me for the ship.
I wasn't at the session for this ship.
Okay, but it wasn't my fault. It wasn't my idea to steal the ship. It was somebody's.
So,
It wasn't me.
let's start with the fundamental question. Why do players become murder hobos? Like, what flips the switch from hero of the realm to I killed a bartender because he looked at me weird? Murder hobo behavior isn't just one thing. It's a combination of different player motivations and table conditions that all mix together like a potion gone wrong. And when those ingredients all hit at once, boom, you've got violence without context. One of the biggest reasons murder hoboing happens is super simple. The player doesn't care about their character yet. Maybe it's a new player. Perhaps it's a character they rolled in 5 minutes. Maybe they haven't found the emotional hook in the world. If the character is basically disposable, so are their choices. If a character has no ties, no goals, no personality beyond I do damage, then chaos feels like the only thing they can contribute. A player who isn't invested fills the void with impulsive action. And this is why I, as a DM, I always try to include my players' backstories into the campaign. Even on our short little ones, I will ask for the backstories and I require them. And those backstories get folded into the literary narrative.
Yeah, where you're giving my character in this one a legitimate PTSD flashbacks from what happened to her.
Yeah. Another factor, and this one is huge today, is video game logic. People are used to playing RPGs where every NPC is basically a loot pinata.
Yeah.
If you kill the shopkeeper in Skyrim, who cares? Their inventory magically respawns in a chest. So when those players hit a tabletop game, they bring that mentality with them. If I attack it, treasure comes out. If I threaten this NPC, they'll give me the quest faster. If I burn the village down, the game will still progress because the DM has to let me continue. If I send a flaming cart into a guard shack and kill all of the guards,
Apparently,
so what?
That was an accident. I was not trying to actually become a freaking domestic terrorist. All
or
right?
a level 1 druid trying to take on a level 20 wizard.
Okay, that was because so this was my murder hobo moment, is my first one, and it was because I panicked because I was not an experienced D&D player at this point. I was still very new, and I didn't know. I just didn't know how to react, so I reacted, and my roll sucked. So basically, you have a giant socially awkward bird person trying to attack a shopkeeper that he made up on the fly that was a level 20 whatever warlock, so that I had. Obviously, he was not going to let me kill this shopkeeper, which is fine, and that's good because it would have been, it really really would have derailed everything for no other reason other than I'm stupid and don't know how to handle a character yet. So
Man, good thing we got that recorded. I'm gonna clip just that part.
Yeah.
Put it. I'm stupid. I'm stupid.
Really?
And I mean, you haven't really let us go off the rails with murder hoboing.
Which is good.
Yeah.
Because again, I've known people who have DM and they have vented to me because they're new and they're like, oh my God, well, my guys are just trying to do this, and this is ridiculous. They don't want to do anything. And it's like, you gotta rein it in.
It's because DMs are afraid to say no.
Yeah, and I mean, you really taught, like, because our entire group met with Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
You really taught us how to role play in Star Wars, where you're like, no, we're not doing Murder Hobo. This is the mission. So we haven't really gone off the rails because we've taken what we learned on a video game to what we know now.
I think we've also experienced good, decent RPing sessions where we're and D&D and Outward. We know that's like, hey, you know what? Sometimes being a murder hobo or as I call it, just being an agent of chaos, it's a little more politically correct.
No, murder hobo, because we are agents of chaos.
But
we're just not murder hobos.
Sometimes it's a little fun to blow off a little steam, but don't make it your whole thing. No.
So, because in video games, nothing is permanent, but in TTRPGs, everything is permanent.
Yep.
Some players murder hobo not because they want to break the game, but because they're testing the boundaries. They want to know, does the world react realistically? Will the DM let me make bad choices? How far can I go before the consequences kick in? And sometimes they're not trying to derail anything. They want to know the rules of engagement. And a lot of new players do this, and it's normal. They will poke the world to see if it pushes back. Let's be real. Some people just want attention. And nothing grabs the table's attention faster than doing something chaotic. It's not malicious. It's often insecurity, boredom, or not knowing how to contribute in a roleplay scene. Killing NPCs is easy. Creating meaningful character moments is hard. Chaos becomes a shortcut. And finally, and this one is on the DM side, the tone of the campaign wasn't clearly established. If you open session 1 with slapstick goblins and goofy tavern antics and then try to pivot into dark political intrigue, the players might not follow you. Players take cues from how the world reacts. If the world feels silly, they act silly. If the world feels lawless, they act lawlessly. If consequences never happen, they assume consequences never exist. So murder hoboing isn't usually the player being malicious. It's a sign that something at the table wasn't aligned. And that's why I try to always have a session 0. Mm-hmm. Session 0 is there to not only create your characters sometimes, but it's also there to talk about boundaries. And we'll talk about this in a couple of the other nerdy episodes. It's there to talk about boundaries, what everybody's comfortable with, how they want the campaign to go, what theming they want for the campaign. And obviously the DM has written everything, but the DM is able to kind of tweak that, like, oh, hey, we're okay with psychological horror, like that thriller horror, but blood and gore and guts spilling out and all of this stuff is not okay. Obviously, like for our table, we have roles of
you had us do consent forms.
Correct. We throw consent forms out on normal campaigns. We didn't do it obviously for this style just because it's a rapid moving thing.
But you've also okay, like with those consent forms, like okay, don't throw snakes at Pam all the time.
Yeah.
She can handle maybe 1 or 2, but don't throw them at me.
We're not gonna. Yeah.
Well, it's also. I mean, it's bigger than just that. Like, people do have those irrational fears, like irrationally being afraid of snakes, irrationally being afraid of spiders.
They have more than 4 legs.
There's one crawling on your arm right now.
Yeah. I hate you. You almost made me spill my coffee.
What if it's in your coffee?
Huh?
What if it's in your coffee?
I will fucking stab you
at
in the
bottom. Just think about that every time you take a sip.
I hate you.
But it's also like what you're comfortable with, the romantic scenes fading to black. So, and that's what we do. We'll do fade to black on romance scenes. We go as far as kissing, and that's basically it. We'll fade to black. There's some people that are okay with going further. I typically find that is okay for home games that are not recorded.
Yeah.
Just because you don't know who's watching.
Yeah.
With this, you'll see most people that have recorded sessions, live sessions like ours, they typically fade to black. And then all the other stuff too, like we typically, like, we don't do horrible things to children. Like, we've had children die, we've had all that, but it's never been a brutal thing.
Yeah.
We also don't do any kind of sexual assaults, anything like that.
It can be in the back. You allow it in our backstories, but we don't go in depth with that.
No,
correct.
We never, and
so there
never will.
And that's for our table. There are other tables that they're okay with that. But you really have to learn what your players like, what they're comfortable with, and you can push that boundary. And I will push just to that boundary to, especially when we get into the psychological horror, where I will push the boundary to make the players physically feel something, like the door peeling off and it being skin.
Yes.
It being flesh.
With that, it's like, I don't like horror. I've said it before, all of that. I cannot.
Just like she doesn't like Keanu Reeves.
Okay, I like the cat. I like the person. I just can't get into his acting.
Sorry, Keanu.
Sorry.
I know you listen to us.
But I hate horror.
Let's ride motorcycles together.
I'm terrified of horror and all that. So I've known Kayde. I can sense when he's starting to pull back a little bit. Like, he knows, like, okay, I'm getting to that. Where Pam's going to start freaking the fuck out in real life.
I've always felt murder. I mean, obviously, murderhoboing happens to me, like you said, when the DM has lost control of the narrative. He has not reined his players in. I also feel murderhoboing is also can be when you also don't vet your players. If any of us will know, might not know, but we originally started with more people. They're not here anymore because
we technically started with 4 other players.
Yeah, and the very first, it just didn't work. Now there were other factors.
Not only the Star Wars one, but the first 2 sessions had 4 other people in it.
No, only 2.
No, it had 4.
Who were the other?
We had my dad that did the whole campaign with us.
Yeah.
Then we had
3 because Ethan wasn't there yet.
We had Rocco's.
Oh yeah,
started with us. He started in the D&D, and then the other 2 that we kicked.
Yeah.
Because of
reasons.
Backseat DMing.
But I can only imagine what, if anyone had been there like a fly on the wall, those sessions were chaos. Like, nobody could get in anything. It was just, I don't think we necessarily got into murder hoboing, but no,
it was mostly like backseat DMing.
But I guarantee you, if it had stayed where it was, that would have been the next step.
Well, no, we would have been bored.
And we weren't streaming at that time either, which made a big difference.
Because we were all learning, and the 2 people that we had,
they'd been playing for a long time.
Yeah, so every time that Kayde was trying to tell, like, we were asking a game mechanic, they were butting in, explaining the game mechanic, and Kayde had to be like, no, I'm using homebrew rules. I'm not using that mechanic.
Yeah, I mean, but murder hoboing is also, to me, is a sign of disrespect to your DM.
Yes.
It is very much so.
Unless your DM is okay with it. If your DM is completely fine with you being a murder hobo.
This also goes into what Kate said about, you need to spell out what the theme of this session or this campaign is going to be beforehand. Because if you don't, or you change it too often, your players are just going to do whatever the hell they want.
Yeah.
Damn what he wrote.
With the session that we just got done with, the case that we just got done with, Kayde sent us a doc saying, okay, this is what the story is going to be. So
obviously no specifics, but
No.
we knew the theme of it, so we picked our characters and we did everything appropriately.
Yeah. So, all right. Now that we've covered why murder hoboing happens, let's talk about the fallout. Because the effects on a campaign aren't always immediate, but man, do they ripple. Let's start with the obvious. A murder hobo party will absolutely derail whatever story you planned. You spent hours prepping the quest giver, political intrigue, the big mystery, the moral choice, and the meaningful character moments. And your players are like, cool, I stabbed the mayor. Suddenly, your beautifully structured plot becomes a constant improvisation scramble. You're fixing consequences instead of telling a story. You're putting out fires, sometimes literal ones.
Or I could
Yes.
say you sleep with the mayor, like my one character did.
And the worst part, you can't use 80% of your prep because the players killed half the NPCs it depended on.
These two almost murder hoboed that one a couple of years ago when I was at Army training. Actually, it was a few years ago. I was away during some Army training down in Delaware, and out of the blue, he messaged me saying, hey, do you mind creating and DMing just a one-shot for all of us? And I was like, sure. He sends me everything.
Oh, yeah, that one.
He sends me everything I created, and then that night, I do the DMing for it.
Okay, that wasn't
Actually-
a murder hobo.
Actually, funny enough, next week would be 2 years to the day
Yeah,
because it was for my birthday.
that's
Yeah.
right.
It wasn't a murder hobo.
Well, let me explain. So, literally, I went to classic, starts in a tavern, big bar fight between another group, blah, blah, blah. It was actually pretty fun up until it's like, okay, in my mind, it's like, okay, fight's over. We need to move to this. And I had the Royal Guard show up to surround them. You and your dad were prepared to fight a whole troop of Royal Guards. You were going to do it.
This was the birth of Maresh.
You're
This was a Goliath barbarian.
And I understood that, but at a certain point, I was like, okay, wait a minute. I had to make sure, and I had to on the fly. I had to be like, they're fully armored. They have long spear weapons. You are completely surrounded. Even if you attack one side, you will be flanked by the others. And I don't care how. And I didn't say this, but in my mind, I was like, I don't care how freaking strong you are. You are not surviving a bunch of dwarven guards with long spears stabbing you in the back.
But that's okay because then later on I went and killed the king and took his throne.
Yeah, and I mean,
That
this
was
is also
when I
the
handed it
birth
off
of
to Ethan.
the drunken barbarian dwarf that carried a hammer that was
And
bigger than her.
thus Scarlet Tavern was built.
Yeah.
It's actually the namesake to
This.
this.
Yeah.
It was the Scarlet Brigade who opened a bar and created the Scarlet Tavern.
Lore-wise, this is the exact same one.
Yeah.
But
You were sitting in the tavern that this happened.
but that's essentially, they almost did a murder hobo on me because they were fully prepared to start fighting. I was like, nope, you got to be able to react and be like, because I feel like if other DMs might have been like, okay, it's like now we gotta move on.
But there's two ways to go about it. You can completely change it, like try and convince your player, or you let them feel the consequences. If you have a level 3 character, no matter what it is, surround him with all of those people, let him die. He dies, he learns the consequence. Hey, this is what happens.
Yeah,
I think you were fully prepared to let.
Oh, of course I
Salik,
was.
with Salik with.
I mean, I was fully.
I would wish you keep Salik dead and stuff.
I was fully prepared in that moment for Maresh to die.
Yeah.
And of course, now he's obviously Maresh is a very integral part of everything.
So I'm glad.
And the most beloved character of the Scarlet Brigade.
I mean, I do like Maresh.
I think Jarden is
no, Jarden's
what's wrong? He's a bunny rabbit.
It's Maresh.
What's wrong with Jarden? He's a cute little bunny rabbit that kills people.
So, murder hobo behavior is a tone killer. If you're trying to run a gritty political thriller or a dark fantasy epic or a character-driven narrative, and the party's acting like they're in Grand Theft Auto Faerun Edition,
that needs to be a thing.
I know, that'd be cool. The whole vibe collapses. When players don't respect the tone, it undercuts tension. Danger stops feeling dangerous. Mystery stops feeling mysterious. Every emotional beat gets overshadowed by the next chaotic impulse. And this is something that I feel like I'm decent at. A lot of DMs can't do it. is making shit up on the fly. I will write out. I usually typically write out, like when we're starting something new, I'll write out the first scene, like for all these one shots that we're doing. I already have like the opening scene written out, and then from there I just kind of make it up as I go based off of their decisions. And that's not everybody can do that. That's just the years of acting classes and things like that I've
and
done.
Knowing how we typically will react.
And now, like big campaigns, I'll create the world and things like that. But for the most part, but I like emotional beats. I like making the players feel emotion. I like, and it can't happen at the beginning. When the campaign first happens, it's not going to happen. Your players aren't emotionally invested yet. You need your players emotionally invested. So you need to build those little things to make your players emotionally invested. Use their backstories. If the more you use their backstory, the more that they're going to get invested in their characters. And 3 years down the road, that character dies, then, or they find out that they had a daughter that they didn't know about, or birthed a son by vomiting,
or slept with their mother.
Mine never did that.
That was mine. That was Meadow. That was Meadow.
But yeah, so NPCs are supposed to be the lifeblood of the campaign. They deliver story hooks, emotional anchors, world building details, and consequences. But if every new NPC is met with, I don't trust him, I roll to attack, then suddenly your world feels empty. Because why bother giving depth to characters who won't survive 3 sentences? And this isn't just frustrating for the DM. Players lose out too. They lose the richness of the world. They lose allies, meaningful interaction, and immersion. And they can talk about this where sometimes you'll have an NPC that becomes so integral to the story that they feel connected, and it's emotional when something happens to that NPC.
Oh fuck! What was the one NPC that we like really got invested to? And I want Stu. Stu was originally supposed to be just an NPC.
Yeah. And
we fell in love with Stu, and
then he sacrificed himself.
And we were all crying.
Yeah.
I mean, and even like in the last campaign that we took a pause on, Kale.
Yeah.
I mean, he was just a passerby that you guys found, and everybody got emotionally invested with Kale, and he became the leader that you didn't realize he was going to become. So the NPCs are very, very important.
I don't think we've ever rolled to it, like said, "Oh, I don't like this NPC. I'm going to attack it." I don't think we've ever done that.
No, we've not.
We've rolled insight checks to see if they were lying to us and all of that.
No, we've not. I don't.
But we've never said, "I'm going to attack this NPC." We've attacked each other.
I think I'm the only one who ever did that, and that wasn't and again, that was mostly because me, the player, panicked about what am I supposed to do. I couldn't.
And that was very early. That was only like 3 or 4 sessions.
We weren't even recording.
We weren't recording at that point. So no, that was like even afterwards, I'd be like, I don't want to freaking do that. I thought it was a good idea to break in. My roll sucked, and I paid for the consequences.
Yeah. So in this one's subtle but essential. If the party rampages without consequences, the world stops feeling real. Immersion, drama, and stakes die. If burning down the guardhouse results in nothing, why care about anything? Why fear anything? Why invest in the story at all?
Are our characters still wanted in that?
Yes.
So we're never going, if we go back to that campaign, we're never going.
There was also something that you guys never did that I was hoping he would, because Eric Hawkers can fly.
Oh yeah.
There's an invisible electrical net over that city that if he would have tried to fly away, he would have gotten electrocuted and died.
If I had known that toward the end, I would have had him. I would have
just commit suicide.
Pretty much, for all
no,
those
we would have still brought him back.
He would have lived.
For those out there who might be confused, my first character was a character called Salik, and Eric Cockra I load very roll on his charisma and like the stats that make up like the character's personality. So if anybody's a fan of Rick and Morty, I basically made Bird Person in Eric Hocker form. And toward the end, I hated the character. I still to this day, I hate the character. I am probably one of the few players out there that does not hold any nostalgic thing for his characters. No,
we're going back to medieval times on the next set of 3.
No, we are not.
No, it doesn't even have to be a bird person. It doesn't even have to be a bird person. Bring him back in human form.
No,
it's just this guy with a really big nose.
Yes.
But yeah, so I hate that character, and I'm glad. And there's a running joke. He keeps fucking bringing him back in some form.
So, a good campaign needs a world that reacts. If the world doesn't respond, it becomes a theme park. And that's fine if you're playing a comedy game, but if you're not, it's a problem. When things get bad enough, murder hobo behavior turns the table into a tug of war. It becomes the GM is trying to control us and we're trying to break free. Or worse, the GM is punishing us, so we're going to act out more. This is toxic. Turns collaborative storytelling into a power struggle. Nobody wins, everybody gets frustrated. And here's the part that many GMs don't want to admit. Sometimes murder hobos aren't the cause of the problem. They're a symptom. So here's where things get a little uncomfortable for all of us behind the screen. Because the truth is, murder hobo behavior doesn't come out of nowhere. Sometimes the DM accidentally creates it. And not on purpose. Nobody wakes up thinking, I'm going to encourage chaos today. But certain DM habits, table conditions, and world building choices can subtly push players towards murder hoboing without anybody realizing it. If players do wild things and nothing bad ever happens, guess what? They're going to keep doing wild things. If they rob a shopkeeper and get away with it, if they threaten a noble and nothing changes, if they commit crimes and the guards don't respond, that player reads that as permission. And it's not because the DM is afraid of confrontation. Usually it's because they don't want to punish players or derail the session. But here's the trick. Consequences aren't punishment. They're realism. The moment consequences feel like punishment, you've lost the table. And when consequences feel like natural reactions, the world becomes real. And I will say, this was a learning curve for this group. Never playing D&D before, I could tell when they didn't like the consequences, especially Ben. Ben puts everything on his face. Ben's face is very readable. When he doesn't like something, you know it. And early on, you could tell. They would do something, I'd give a punishment, and you'd hear, okay. And he'd be pouty for a little bit and then get over it and be fine. But it was a learning curve because this is something new. Again, almost everybody is coming from playing video games where consequences don't matter. You fuck up, you go back to the last save and you redo it. And here it matters. So it was a big learning curve for them to realize that I wasn't punishing them. I was giving them consequences to their actions. And one of the big ones that we actually all had a fight over was that big battle with the hag.
Yeah, where all of us were.
Remember the battle with the hag when you guys were like level 5 and she was level 20?
Oh yeah, like
he killed all of us.
And I killed all of you. I
understand why the fuck we were doing this. It's like what are we doing?
And it was because they made some choices that had real world consequences.
I don't remember what those
I don't remember what it was either.
I think it was because we were getting too comfortable with our characters not dying.
They thought that they were indestructible.
Yes,
if I remember right, that's what it was. They thought they were indestructible, and sometimes as a GM, that's something that you have to remind them that they're not indestructible, because what they were doing is that was the point where you guys were starting to go towards murder hobo. You thought you were indestructible. You were making decisions that your characters probably wouldn't have made realistically. And again, it was still pretty early on, and you guys were doing stuff that if your characters would have done in real life, they would have been killed. And so I essentially again,
And we
I
were
talk.
a higher level than 5.
Well, I talk about the hag. Obviously, it's probably everybody's favorite NPC is the hag.
Yeah.
As scary as she is, she's great, and that's why everybody loves her. But at first, she wasn't a friend.
No,
She was terrifying. And the hag is one of my NPCs, modeled after the hag from like German folklore. But she has multiple
Baba Yaga.
Correct. She has multiple arms, sunken in eyes, massive Cheshire cat like smile, very creepy. Her fingers are like 2 feet long, things like that. Like something as simple as like she would wear sandals and her toenails would curve over the edge of the sandals. And she was this very creepy character. And typically, I mean, players aren't going to fuck with that, but you guys would run your mouth to her all the time.
Yeah, I think that was the point where you're like,
and that's where I went, well, she's not going to take this. And it got to the point where you guys wanted to fight her. So I didn't hold back. You guys expected me to hold back, and I didn't.
No, and I think that's also like, then she disappeared. She got kidnapped or whatever. And we all collectively lost our shit. Because, we didn't like her, but we're like, okay, she saved our ass.
Well, and she ended up becoming an essential part of the campaign.
Yeah.
But that was a point where I showed a consequence that they thought was a punishment. And we literally, like, after we were live at that point, after we got off air, Ben, Pam, and I got into a literal argument about what happened.
It was
like,
a screaming match.
We were yelling at each other about it. And I had to tell them, like, this is a consequence. You guys need to learn that you're not indestructible. And if I have to kill you all to do that, I'm going to. And then everybody got over it. And
because then what you started to do is like, hey, what I'm going to start doing is every time you die, that's when, like, when you roll your death save, it keeps increasing. I think with that's when you implemented that rule.
Yeah. So, and now death, nobody's experienced death yet.
No.
Nobody's had to do Death's Gate yet.
Maybe
it'll happen tonight.
Knock on wood.
Maybe it'll happen tonight because you do have the hag-like creature there.
Fuck you for that, by the way.
So, if the campaign world feels disposable, the players treat it as disposable. If every town is just a backdrop with no emotional ties, if every NPC feels generic, if nothing feels personal, then players don't feel invested. Murder hoboing thrives in worlds where nothing matters. If the campaign feels like a theme park, players act like theme park guests. If the campaign feels like a living world, players act like residents. If a DM railroads too hard, forces the plot, restricts choices, blocks player creativity, players can lash out. It becomes fine. If we can't meaningfully impact the plot, then we'll impact everything else.
I mean, with that, like, you could have literally, when we switched characters in campaign 1 and we went to, like, the secondary characters, you could have literally told my character, no, you're not sleeping with the town mayor. But you're like, oh, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to do it. And then after you told me the consequences of it.
I was about to say something, but we're about to talk about in the next section about what I was going to say.
So murder hoboing becomes a form of table protest. If players feel powerless, they seize power the only way they can, through chaos. And another intentional habit. If every problem in the campaign is solved by combat, if every negotiation never works, if stealth never works, if roleplay never works, then the players learn that violence is the game. If killing the bandits gives XP and talking to the bandits gives nothing, guess what they'll pick? DMs sometimes introduce goofy NPCs for comedic relief. I do that all the time.
Yes.
That's great, but if every NPC is a walking joke, the players stop taking the world seriously. If the barkeep is a clown, the guard is a moron, and the mayor is incompetent, players start acting like cartoon characters because the world feels like a cartoon. And the simplest and most common issue, no one discussed the campaign tone. If one player wants high fantasy heroism, another player wants gritty realism, and another wants Looney Tunes with swords, it'd We should do that one time.
Oh, that would be fun.
You're gonna get murder hobos.
Dibs on Daffy.
It's Wabbit season.
Dibs on Tweety.
I taught a teleputty dad. I did be a putty dad. Not because they're malicious, but because nobody lined up expectations. So yeah, sometimes the chaos isn't born at the table; it's born before the table even starts. But the good news, just like a GM can accidentally create murder hobos, a GM can also fix the problem.
And I think we've also gone over like, hey, what do we want to see in the next campaign? Like,
yeah, we always.
I do that before I start writing the next campaign, which obviously it's a little different with this one because of the way it's structured.
Yeah, but you've already told us like, hey, this is kind of like my idea for what I would like. If you guys have an idea of like time periods and stuff like that you want to do, just let me know and we can make it work.
I mean, honestly, I feel like other than that one thing that happened before we started recording, I think the only time I've ever done a quote-unquote murder hoboing thing and this was, I will say this was born out of frustration, and I'll just be honest, this was born out of my frustration with everybody else. It was our Delta Green one-shot, which is so great. I love doing that one. Where I got to make my Bruce Campbell plug-in character,
which
the assistant manager of Blockbuster.
Bruce Campbell is in our prayers.
Yes.
Hopefully he gets through this cancer.
I felt like by the time we got to the end of the last session, we had completely forgot what the hell we were doing there. Like, I was like, I don't know if I know you saw it, but I was actually going back through the handout you gave me, like, okay, this is actually why we're here for. And I brought it up. Like, remember, everyone, we're supposed to be looking for somebody, and we were just ambling around. And I was like, okay, we got to do something. So I just decided
to break the matrix.
I basically, so he set it up so that we went through this mind fuck thing, which he always does.
I'm so good at.
Yes.
And then I just vented my own frustration into the character. I was like, you know what? I'm tired of this, because we all saw that something was in the one house we were like about to go into, and I was like, I'm done. We're doing this. And I just took the car and I just drove through it. And he responded appropriately because he pretty much figured out what I was trying to do. And then
I still fucked with their heads.
Yeah, and they're just like, what are you doing? What are you doing? I'm like, we're done.
And now, if you've seen us with our 13 Sigil campaign,
which does have some Delta Green influences.
Yes.
You'll see me actually flipping back and rereading the stuff to make sure that I'm doing what I need to do.
Because I felt it's like, okay, we've only had 4 sessions with this, and we essentially not wasted, but we didn't get really anywhere with the 3 sessions. So it's like, well, we got to do something. And I just went hog wild. I crashed the car in. I shot the neighborhood Karen. I planted a bomb and blew up
the
homeowners association office.
That's why for this one, I only did 3 sessions, because it keeps you guys with 3 sessions. You guys kind of have to stay focused.
Yeah.
You don't have 5-6 sessions or more to figure everything out. You got 3 sessions. If you don't figure it out, the story's done. You have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, and that again, this is where I feel like murder hoboing also comes into play. It's not just frustrating with the DM, but that is a major part typically, but also if the players aren't in sync for whatever reason. And we've been doing this for many years, and we got out of sync. We're just like, okay, what are we doing? Okay, you know what? Let's just screw it. We're gonna
even
do
the
this.
previous, like just the last case where your character was constantly focused on the clinic, I'm like, no, the clinic's not the key, it's the house.
Yeah, and that's just, to me, that's just normal RPing 2 characters going at it. But in this case of the Delta Green one, we were just, it got to a certain point, I was just like, what are we doing again? Does anybody actually know what we're doing? So again, but this can happen in a regular session. People just forget what you're doing, and somebody just decides.
Well, it's not just that. It's like we've had the luck of knowing each other for so long now.
I can't.
That unfortunately, with a lot of tables, they're all new to each other. They don't know each other. Some people may know each other. I mean, we've been friends since 2019.
Mhm.
Well, Ben and you have been friends since 2019. You and I didn't. No, it was 2020.
Yeah.
1920. That's
Yeah.
out
Yeah.
there.
So, I mean, it's that definitely helps having it be a friend group instead of strangers.
Yeah. I always see. I watch videos on those D&D nightmare videos that you
Yeah.
see on there, and you see like I joined this group on the internet thing. I was like, you just joined a random group of people for D&D. That's so weird.
Yeah.
Don't you have friends?
It's weird
that
to
can do-
us.
To us, yeah, because it's like, don't you have friends?
Yeah. So, all right. We've covered why murder hobos happen, what they do to a campaign, and how GMs sometimes help create them by accident. Now let's talk about solutions. And not boring solutions, not lectury solutions, not punish the players until they behave solutions. I'm talking about real, practical, table-friendly methods that guide players towards better storytelling without killing the vibe or making you look like the authoritarian DM in a bad Reddit post. Tone is everything. If you want a serious political thriller, say that. If you want a goofy, chaotic campaign, say that. If you want Witcher meets Lord of the Rings, say that. But don't assume players can read your mind. They can't even read the room half the time. And so with ours is typically a mixture. I will throw comedy in there just to lighten the moods. But typically we do various serious campaigns. And then usually after that, we'll do something a little lighter. That's why we do our one-shots, things like that to keep it light. But tone isn't a one-time conversation. Your descriptions, NPCs, consequences, music, and pacing reinforce it. Shh. The world should communicate tone without you having to lecture it. One of the best ways to stop murder hobo behavior is to give characters a reason to care. If they have a family member in danger, a mentor, a rival, a personal quest, a debt, a hometown, anything with emotional weight, killing random townsfolk doesn't feel fun anymore. It feels counterproductive. Once the world matters to them, destruction stops being entertainment. Make violence cost something. This is where consequences matter, but not in a punitive way. You're not punishing the players. You're just making violence real. Ah! I did that to her yesterday and it worked. She went to go sneeze and I scared the sneeze out of her.
No, my allergies are a bitch right now. So.
Kill the blacksmith. Now there's no one to repair your armor. Stab a noble. Now the guards are hunting you. And your face is on wanted posters. Burn down a tavern. Sure. But that wasn't the only safe place in town. That was the only safe place in town. And the bartender was your informant. The world should react logically. Not harshly. Logically. If the players resolve issues peacefully, reward them. Make diplomacy give XP. Make stealth lead to cool secrets. Make clever ideas more satisfying than stabby ones. Players repeat what works. If violence always works, you get murder hobos. If creativity works, you get storytellers. And that's why in our system, I created momentum points. We have momentum points that players can earn. They earn them every time they get a critical success. You get a momentum point. But it's a reward. So there's a thing in 5e where you can get like luck points and things like that. And those can change a roll. They can do this or that. Momentum in ours is kind of the same thing. So I reward players by giving them a momentum. They do something the right way without fucking anything up. Boom, you get a momentum. That momentum has literally changed rolls.
Yeah, where we have priority tokens.
Yes.
And we get 3 priority tokens. And I suck at rolling. I've actually forgot about priority tokens. Where we can add a d6 to our roll, or we can negate one roll and re-roll and stuff like that.
Priority tokens can also save you from death if you have all 3. Things like that. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So that's because nobody's died yet
Yeah.
with the new system. But if you give players some kind of reward, they're going. It's maybe a bad analogy, but think like Pavlov's dog.
Yeah.
You ring the bell, you get a treat. Eventually, that dog rings that bell. It's going to expect a treat, and it'll keep doing that. You keep rewarding the good behavior. So, if you want players to stop killing every NPC, create NPCs they actually like. Give them personality and quirks. Like Stu. You don't want to kill Stu because, according to my calculations, and fun fact here, he is actually based off of Ben.
Yes, he did. I forgot that.
Yeah, he's based off of Ben's nerdy side. Once players are emotionally invested, murder hoboing becomes socially awkward, even at a fictional table. Have you ever noticed how players will burn down a village, but they'll never go to war for Steve the Tavern Keeper, who knows their favorite drink? Yeah, people kill systems, not relationships. Here's the thing. You don't want to eliminate player chaos. Chaos is fun. Chaos is energy. Chaos is half of what makes tabletop games amazing. The goal is to not stop the chaos. The goal is to channel it. Give them situations where chaos is allowed. Let them blow stuff up in a dungeon. Go feral in the monster-infested swamp. Unleash violence where it actually makes sense. And gently guide them away from chaos that destroys the story. And finally, the most underrated fix. Talk to them. If a player's derailing things, say, hey, I'm loving the energy, but the campaign tone is getting lost. Can we dial this in a bit? Most players will say, oh, my bad, didn't realize. Yeah, cool. People aren't trying to ruin your campaign. They need directions. And I've done this. I've done this to you guys multiple times. I've said, hey, and I'll never do it on camera.
No.
Especially because we go live. But I'll say, hey, what happened here? This is an issue. Let's go ahead and fix it for the next campaign, for the next session. And it gets fixed. If it doesn't get fixed, then we have another talk.
And it doesn't actually happen all that often. It's
not anymore. It used to all the time. I used to have to correct people all the time. And even, it was simple stuff as getting out of character.
Yes.
You guys were horrible about talking out of character.
Yeah, we really were.
But now, almost 6 years of doing this, you guys are obviously it comes more natural. It was, you guys used to say, well, Belvis is going to do this instead of I am going to do this.
Yeah, and we've actually gotten better at doing that, and then saying, like, if we're getting out of character, like IRL.
Yeah, or above the table.
Yeah.
All right. Deep breath. We've covered the causes, the problems, and the fixes. Now it's time for the final chapter. How to bring the party back from murder hobo mode. So, let's say the chaos has already happened. Your party has gone full murder hobo. A town is smoldering. 3 quests collapse, and the local government hates them. And an NPC with plot armor is now very much without armor. What do? How do you fix a party that's already off the rails without rebooting the entire campaign? Luckily, you don't have to burn everything down and start over. There are clean, elegant ways to bring a murder hobo group back into story mode without punishing them, lecturing them, and without making anybody feel called out. Introduce consequences that create opportunity, not punishment. The trick here is subtlety. When murder hobo behavior has already happened, the consequences shouldn't be rage-fueled punishment from the DM. It should be world-driven story hooks. If the players burn down the tavern, cool. Now the town's refugee population is in the streets asking the party for help. They killed a noble? Great. A vigilante group now wants to recruit them, believing the players are sending a political message. Nothing shuts down chaos faster than responsibility. Consequences shouldn't feel like, you bad players. They should feel like, oh shit, this story just got deeper.
That's actually a very clever way to do it.
And that's actually happened to us, where you haven't said, hey, we're getting away from where I want the story to go. You've actually been like, all right, so we're going to do it this way. I'm going to introduce this and bring us back to where the story needed to go.
Yep. Give them a problem they can't solve with violence. If the only way forward requires social finesse, negotiation, or puzzle solving, the party will naturally shift gears. Players are adaptable. If violence stops working, they'll try something else, as long as you reward that something else.
Can you please just stop with the damn riddles?
I haven't done any.
We're not good at them.
I haven't done
You
any
keep
lately.
giving them to us.
Okay. Why? Just why?
Doesn't matter. He's always going to throw a riddle somewhere in there. It's always in the back of his head.
It's not just riddles. I like the morality choices.
I hate those ones. I will
course
take
I
the
do.
fucking riddles.
They're my favorite.
I will take the riddles over the morality.
I'll take the morality ones.
Add a party member or NPC who sets the tone. You don't want to control the party, but you can influence the vibe with one well-placed NPC, like I've done. That's why Calathar exists. You guys were kind of getting... We had a world reset, and you guys didn't know where you needed to go with it.
Well, with Calathar, it was also, we needed to introduce a new character because one character stepped away.
Correct.
And at first, we didn't like it. We were just like, whatever. Like, okay, cool, yeah, whatever. And we were guiding Calathar, and then we went to the Nine Hells, and I threw a wrench into the entire campaign by instead of rolling my horrible roll, like usual, I rolled a natural 20. And then all of a sudden, Calathar went from us guiding him to him guiding us.
Yep. So maybe it's a cleric who believes in redemption, a ranger who's tired of senseless killing, a child NPC who idolizes the group, or a leader who gives them a shot at heroism. Players often match the tone of the NPCs they respect. Tie their actions to personal stakes. This is the DM's super weapon. You take the chaos the players caused and make it come back around in a way that connects to their character arcs. When a player sees their character's choices matter, the murder hobo switch flips off real fast. Create a redemption path that's actually fun. This is the part that most DMs miss. Fixing the problem shouldn't be a slog. It should be a quest. Something like clearing their name, helping a town they wronged, protecting someone they put in danger, reclaiming honor, or repairing a broken alliance. Not as punishment, but as story, growth, and a badass character arc. If you make redemption fun, players will chase it. Have a meta conversation, but keep it simple. And look, sometimes the best fix is just talking like normal humans. Not a lecture, not a big sit-down intervention. Just a casual, hey, I want the campaign to have a stronger story. Can we lean a little more into character motivations in the future? 9 times out of 10, the players will say, oh yeah, sure, no problem. Nobody wants to ruin the game. Most of the time, they don't even realize they're doing it. Give them one moment to go fully feral, then bring it home. Here's a secret DM trick from me to you. Sometimes the best way to cure murder hobos is to give them one last glorious murder hobo moment. A big chaotic dungeon, a monster nest, a pirate fortress, somewhere they can unleash every unhinged impulse they have and then walk out satisfied enough to follow the story afterward. It's like tiring out a toddler. Let them run wild for a bit, then suddenly they're willing to sit still. You got to treat your players like they're children.
Wow.
I get that wrong.
You're not wrong.
The goal is to never shut down the players' fun. It's to align their enjoyment with that of the entire table. You don't fix a murder hobo party with punishment, control, or negativity. You fix it with story, structure, emotional investment, and a consequence that leads to a meaningful outcome and talking like adults.
Although I will say this, though, and I've had a friend of mine who tried his hand at DMing. He had this problem, but he had it worse. He had a murder hobo party. These guys just, no matter what he did, they just wanted to kill, maim, and pillage everything. Just wouldn't do it. And the way he was describing it, the way he was telling me, and I told him, you need to kill everybody. And I was like, well, they like that. I'm like, they're too far gone. You've lost the plot. You need to kill them. You need to make sure their deaths are permanent. And I said, scorch earth, motherfucker. And then once you're done, redo your campaign or wherever, however you want to do it, and then sit everyone down and tell them, knock it the fuck off. because the way he was describing it, I don't remember all the details, but it just sounded like chaos for chaos's sake. It's like
They didn't want to play D&D. They wanted to play a.
they want to play a video game. That's what they wanted to do. It's like this is a game of imagination and everything. I was like, who are your friends? Actually, I was like, you know what? I don't want to with these people.
And again, D&D, it's not a video game. Like we've said before, it's collaborative storytelling. That's what the entire part of D&D is. Yes, the DM creates the world, but the players create the story. They affect the world, and it's the DM's job to make that happen in a fun way.
I mean, with you, like, when it's getting a little too serious, you're like, okay, you know what? I'm going to introduce just a random deck of cards. And we hate the cards. We're like,
and
no.
yet you're the one who keeps bringing them up.
Yeah, well, the cards wouldn't necessarily work in. Oh, wait.
Why? Oh, I don't want to hear you say anything to me ever again.
The next 3 episodes are medieval.
Because guess what you just did? You just challenged him.
Okay, the cards are one thing. You are giving him
Yeah,
ideas.
the one thing that has literally before reshaped the entire campaign because certain somebody kept drawing the damn void card.
That was not me.
I wasn't about to accuse you. I was about to say
Speaking of
Ethan.
Ethan, let's send him a message.
Damn
See
void card.
how many cards he wants to draw for the next 3 episodes.
Oh God. Anywho.
But when it gets too serious, you just bring in that chaos.
I will say this: murderhoboing is, whether DMs like it or not, it is something that is always going to happen. The only thing you can do is you can either control it or you can give it like with the toddler analogy. You can give it a safe outlet that won't affect your campaign. Everybody's getting chomping at the bit to do something. Give them a nest of NPC bad guys to hack and slash and kill. Let them tire them, let it get it out of their system, and then you can get back to the real RP.
Or give them a quest that, hey, you just entered a town that's known for gladiators.
That's one thing too. But
you can now become a famous gladiator against these enemies.
Yeah. It's also the big key thing I think is to just know your players.
Yeah.
Know them. What do they like? What do they do?
And that's the whole point. You introduce. And we'll probably put it on our website. I'm gonna create our own version of the safety safety form, and we'll put it on our website for people to download for free. It'll go through our store, and it'll say $0. You can just put it in your card and be able to download it for free. We'll probably put that up here in the next month or so. But basically go on there, you can download that, print it out, give it out digitally, and you're finding out what your players like, their dislikes, if your players have any trauma that they don't want to share, because again, if you don't know your players, you don't know what they've dealt with in the past and what could trigger them, and we had that happen.
You don't want it to happen.
We had that happen. I mean, it was on live, so everybody saw it. I mean, we didn't realize that Cara was afraid of clowns. She didn't even realize she still had a clown trauma.
Like, she was afraid of clowns. Like,
but
her and I are both afraid of clowns, but we didn't know that. She didn't.
I like that.
She didn't know it was that bad. Like, I can introduce a clown, Pam will be scared, but not like that.
No, where we actually, I think we ended early because we could tell something was wrong.
Yeah. So, and then we figured out, okay. And Cara even said, like, hey, I didn't even realize I had this bad of a trauma to clowns.
Yeah.
Can we not do that again? And we never put clowns in again.
No, I think we've mentioned clowns, but it wasn't a clown chasing us.
Yeah, that was fun.
Fuck you,
that was the
house.
murder house.
Yeah.
The one thing you keep back to.
But yeah, so tonight we've wandered through chaos, psychology, group dynamics, world building, all centered around one simple truth. Players don't become murder hobos because they're bad. They become murder hobos because the table is not yet aligned. Alignment is fixable. Tone is fixable. Chaos is moldable. A good DM can turn a murder hobo party into the most engaged, emotionally invested group at the table. So, whether you're running heroes, scoundrels, agents of chaos, or a party that keeps threatening to stab the bartender, just remember, the story is always salvageable, the game is always fixable, and the players will surprise you, sometimes in the best ways. In the summer of 1892, a quiet New England town was shattered by a crime so brutal it became a national obsession. But the rhyme you know is a lie. Next time, we're going back to the house on 2nd Street to dismantle the myth of Lizzie Borden, to uncover the real story of a family suffocating under resentment, and to ask the question that still haunts us over a century later. Did the woman who walked away from the trial get away with murder? Thank you for joining us tonight in the Scarlet Tavern, where the candles burn low, the stories burn deep, and the truth is always one drink away. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.